You know, there's a specific moment in almost every major technological transition where a society thinks it's gaining all this freedom, efficiency, and endless possibility. But right there in the background, the actual relationship between humans and the system is fundamentally changing. Well, today, in this explainer, we are looking at exactly that kind of moment. We're going to systematically dissect a really profound text that outlines how society is shifting away from sovereign ownership and moving towards something entirely different: managed access. To really understand this transition, we're going to stick strictly to the structure of our source text today. We'll look at the official story of tokenization, the great definition swap, the new unit of coordination, the three layers of control, Amazon as a managed infrastructure, and finally, what the author calls compliance feudalism. So let's jump right into section 1, the official story of tokenization. This is the marketed narrative we're all being sold. Officially, tokenization is presented to us as this incredible democratizing force. The story goes that physical and financial assets are turned into digital tokens, making them super easy to buy and sell. The promise here is that the market suddenly becomes accessible to absolutely everyone. Liquidity goes up, bureaucracy shrinks, and everything gets faster, more transparent, and globally connected. Using buzzwords like blockchain, AI, and Web3, the narrative tells us the old system is just obsolete. But the text we're analyzing asks a critical question that almost never gets brought up: what exactly does the user actually own? And that question brings us to our second point, which the text calls the great definition swap. The author brilliantly illustrates this by comparing classic ownership to the new access model. Think about classic ownership, like owning a house. Your name is in the land registry. It's a legally protected permanent right. You can sell it, gift it, inherit it, and nobody can just unilaterally change the terms on you. But on the right side, with tokenization, the user really just owns a digital certificate or an API permission. The actual asset is legally held by a platform or a trust. And crucially, your right can be dynamically managed or even revoked. You don't own the asset, you own an access model. It's a massive shift in definition. So how exactly are we all convinced to give up those absolute rights? Well, the text outlines a precise four-step process. Step 1, the old system is declared obsolete and overly bureaucratic. Step 2, the new system is marketed as freeing. Let us do the maintenance for you. Step 3, the user voluntarily surrenders control just for the convenience of it. And finally, step 4, the system hits a critical mass and becomes mandatory infrastructure. What started as a completely voluntary service quietly becomes unavoidable. And as the text points out, this shift is already everywhere. We see it in media, going from owning a physical CD to just having Spotify access where rules can change anytime. In software, moving from a permanent license to a cloud subscription. Cars, where you own the hardware but the features are software locked. Even tractors, like with John Deere, where you own the machine but need the manufacturer's permission just to repair it. We see it with smart meters, shifting energy control to remote platforms, and money transitioning from physical cash to programmable digital money. The common thread here is the separation of operational control from physical possession. The big takeaway from the text here is that ownership literally becomes an API permission. The system doesn't ask, "Is this yours?" anymore. It asks, "Do you currently meet the terms of service?" The individual is no longer an owner, they are a managed user. To grasp the sheer scale of this, we move to section 3, where the text examines how society actually coordinates and makes decisions. The text traces the unit of coordination across different eras. In the pre-modern era, it was the word and religious authority. In the modern era, it shifted to law and the institution. During the industrial era, society coordinated through price and the market. And today, in the digital era, the text states our new unit is the click, the API, and the algorithm. And the author strictly defines what this looks like today: the AI-driven identity infrastructure layer. Digital identity is your only entry point. AI is constantly making real-time eligibility decisions about you, and the platform infrastructure simply executes those decisions. The law isn't a static text on paper anymore. It's a dynamic, algorithmic model that is constantly recalculating what you are allowed to do. The source actually draws a really fascinating historical parallel here. Between 1777 and 1798, the French Revolution overthrew the old feudal protocol, where land belonged to the king. That era gave birth to modern absolute ownership. The text notes that right now, from 2023 to 2044, we're in a digital transition that is overthrowing absolute ownership all over again, replacing it with the digital sovereign and tokenized permission. Because of this new protocol, the whole concept of property is fracturing. Let's look at Section 4, the 3 layers of control. According to the text, what we used to call property is now split into 3 layers. Step 1 is the legal layer, run by the state, which is just the formal registration on paper. Step 2 is the infrastructural layer, run by platforms, which holds the actual operational control and access. And Step 3 is the AI evaluation layer, which dynamically assesses your compliance in real time. The text is very clear on this. You might own something on that legal paper layer, but if the infrastructure and AI layers deny you access, your ownership is functionally empty. So what does this look like in practice? Section 5 looks at Amazon as the perfect living laboratory for this shift. Amazon used to be a neutral marketplace, just a middleman where buyers and sellers engaged freely. But the text argues it has evolved into an infrastructure sovereign. It now operates as the actual operating system for commerce. Legally, Amazon doesn't own the goods that third-party sellers offer, but operationally, it controls visibility through algorithms, manages logistics, and can unilaterally remove sellers without any traditional legal process. It proves the author's point perfectly. Platforms don't need to legally own your goods. They just need to be the algorithmic gatekeeper of your market access. All of this brings us to the core thesis of the text, and Section 6, Compliance Feudalism. The author explicitly defines compliance feudalism as a marriage of bureaucratic control and digital architecture. Unlike classical feudalism, which was based on physical force and land, this new system operates entirely through software. Your ability to participate in society and the economy relies entirely on algorithmic approval and your continuous compliance with the platform's rules. The text maps this out perfectly across 4 pillars. In the past, you had a fief. Today, that's your API key or account, which allows you to participate in the economy. Vassalage is now the terms of service, clicking I agree to a 100-page contract where the platform can unilaterally change the rules. The medieval tribute is now paid in data and commissions, like 15 to 30% fees and giving up your biometrics. And finally, excommunication is now automated deplatforming. An AI decides you aren't compliant and instantly freezes your money and your digital locks. And the text emphasizes a very dangerous difference between traditional law and this new compliance model. Law is reactive. It requires proof of guilt before humans, and honestly, you're left alone until you break it. Compliance, however, is proactive. It requires you to continuously prove your innocence to a machine. It demands a constant green signal from you. In this new model, simply stopping your data transmission makes you suspicious. So the source concludes that our biggest future debate isn't actually about whether tokenization or AI are useful. The ultimate question is this: who controls the system that determines what a user can do with what they supposedly own? Because whoever answers that question holds the ultimate authorization power over society. We'll leave you with this provocative thought from the World Economic Forum, which is highlighted right at the end of our source text. The text argues that property is becoming a tool of obedience. Instead of owning assets to be independent, you hold tokens that make you completely dependent on the system. You will own nothing because absolutely everything will have become a conditional managed service. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and I hope it gave you a very clear text-based look into this vision of our digital future.